right, hello there, my friends. This video is just to cover week 5. There are some different things that I'm going to be asking you to do this week, so I thought it might be easiest just to send a quick video here. My apologies, I know last week we didn't get a chance to meet with our Sunday night meeting because my youngest daughter's birthday was that day. So I'm just going to kind of walk you through the items for week 5. So the week 5 overview and directions does contain some links that you're going to need. The first item though on the assignment list for this week is to read chapter 4 in our primary text, and that would be Ayrton's text, The Gender Your Guide. That's going to start moving towards now a new section, so instead of building background knowledge, it's going to be giving you information about your practice and things you can do or change in your areas. The next one that I wanted to show you here, I always get several questions about, well, what is LSR 7's district policy on this? And so what I'm sharing with you here are some slides that were created by 2 of our district employees. You can see here who those 2 people are. These slides, though, are a few years old. When I reached out to Kristen Charlo, she is our social worker at Lee Summit West and also services other buildings within the district. She said they don't have a more recent one yet, but as soon as they do, I will be sure to get that information out to you. But this slideshow, extremely important. Again, this is something made in district, and so I think for our purposes as LSR 7 teachers, I do think it's important to go through this information. It covers lots of different things. As you can see here, lots of terms, but also as you start getting farther down, it does give you some key takeaways, some things to remember in your spaces, whether that's a classroom, a counseling office, a library. Does go into some of the statistics that we also covered in week 1 with the GLSEN Safe Schools report. And it's hard to know. In LSR 7, we don't have a current survey that is specific to LGBTQ plus students. In fact, we don't have a single climate survey that has any questions related to LGBTQ plus populations. But again, just reiterating some of the, I guess, some of the data, the scary data that we all know, right? The takeaways. But here is the LSR 7 district policy. Again, this is a couple years old. Kristen didn't have any updates, or she didn't mention any updates to this. So I'm going to leave this as is for now, and if I hear something different, for sure I'll get that information to you. But this part I especially like. I'm going to try to move my screen down so you can see a little bit more of it down at the bottom. When you get to this one, though, make sure that you are able to read some of the footnotes down at the bottom. But, you know, the questions that we get are, you know, like, what are some things that people might ask me about things that I'm covering in my classroom when I'm trying to be more inclusive to LGBTQ plus populations. And so here's a slide on elementary. What can elementary staff do? This is a great slide for all of our elementary friends and for our high school friends too. I think it's really good, with a good little link down here at the bottom. I am a volunteer for both GLSEN and PFLAG, and so I can't reiterate enough how important I think those 2 organizations are in the queer community. Then secondary, here's the information about secondary, which focuses more on discriminatory school policies, as well as being verbally harassed at school, and again, teachers not intervening. So in a lot of instances, some of these issues I think are adult issues, not just student issues. Okay, and I'm sure that we all remember the trauma-informed care. It used to be really big in LSR 7, especially pre-COVID. We spent a lot of time learning about trauma-informed care practices, just trauma-informed approaches in general. And so that's what these slides are touching on here, right? If I'm going to teach inclusively, what do I do? What does that look like? And then here's a list of clubs throughout LSR 7. The Gay Straight Alliance is now known as the Gender Sexuality Alliance Club. They're bringing in more folks than just Gay Straight Alliance. And so here are the clubs that are currently listed. Also, there's a video here, talks a little more specifically about students of color that also fit under that umbrella of LGBTQ+. I think that's an important video to watch as well. Okay, so these slides, though, are going to give you some information specific to LSR 7. It doesn't go super in depth, but it does give you, I mean, this is as close as we can get with what we have, to specific information about the LGBTQ+ population in LSR 7. Okay, so as you're looking through those slides, I want you to jot down the things that stand out to you, things that you want to remember, because the discussion board is going to ask you to list 10 things that you want to remember. And so I would jot down a couple of things from these slides that you want to remember. All right, I'm going to try to bring this back up now. Okay, I'm going to go back to the overview. The next item here, the LGBTQ inclusion by design, is an extremely important document. I cannot say that enough. This is focusing on an audit, right? Like how can I go about auditing my space to see if it is LGBTQ friendly? And I think that this is one of the most, I don't know, I have found it to be a tremendous benefit, right? What will it help me accomplish? Right. And so as you're going through and you're looking at all these questions and you're checking the boxes like, yes, we're excelling, we're meeting, we're nowhere near where we need to be. It helps you figure out and clarify where we could be more inclusive so we know where to focus our energies. Okay, I will say though that this particular tool does cover more than just the classroom. It's going to cover your school and your district perhaps in general. Please take special notes of a blueprint for LGBTQ plus inclusive school systems. Systems, again, is not just your school. That's going to be the entire school district. But I think this is so important. And so make sure you take some time here to read through this, especially governance and leadership, human resources, programs and services, all of these things, right? So not just students in the LGBTQ community. We know that representation matters, whether that be having teachers of color or, having LGBTQ plus teachers and making sure that they are able to be their true, authentic selves in the classroom, how that benefits students. But this particular, again, slide, building LGBTQ inclusive school systems, kind of gives you another visual or chart here for all of our visual learners. But here's where it starts getting into, okay, where are we at, right? And so there's a lot of things I want you to read through here, right? The key areas, right? Who needs to be involved? What are the measures and evidence? And then where do we fall in this category? And so just something I want you to consider, right? Try to fill out this questionnaire thing just like on your own with what you know, with your knowledge. But I also want you to be thinking next week, you are going to do an interview with one of your admin, right? That could be a face-to-face interview, that could be an email interview, but you're going to have to ask this person 10 questions from this audit. And so be thinking about, okay, which questions do I really want to know the answer to? Which questions do I really want Dr. So-and-so or Miss So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so? What do I want them to be able to tell me? And so as you're reading through these and you're writing notes, don't forget that, right? What are 10 things that you're really going to want to know the answer to? Because that's going to be the assignment for next week, is to interview an admin and ask them 10 of these questions, right? Has the district developed a complaint mechanism to effectively handle incidents of individual or systemic discrimination or harassment based on sexual orientation or gender? That's huge, right? And there might be, I'm going to be 100% honest, there are going to be principals who have no idea. They're going to say, listen, I need to get back to you. I'm going to have to email somebody at central office and get the answer to your question. And that's okay too. And maybe it's best that some of those answers come from central office, depending on the question you're asked. Let's see here, but lots of different things to think about. Do budget line items adequately allocate for LGBTQ specific policy development, right? Does LSR 7 have a fund where they are specifically using funding for LGBTQ specific policy development? And though I could guess at that answer, I don't know. So it would be nice to see somebody ask and get the answer to that question. Other things, lots of things to think about as far as like an inclusive school system in general. Like this one, has the district developed an effective and inclusive working relationship with LGBTQ community groups and organizations, right? Does our district partner with GLSEN? Does our district partner with PFLAG? Does our district partner with Transformations KC? These are the three big community support systems that are well known in the LGBTQ community. So it would be nice for somebody at central office to ask that question, right? Do we have a partnership with GLSEN? Do we have a partnership with PFLAG? Do we have a partnership with Transformations KC? Like, are we actively working with those organizations to make our schools in general more open and inclusive to LGBTQ students, right? And just asking those questions too I think makes people start to think again about, oh, we're not doing those things. Maybe we should be, right? And then those conversations start. And so it's not like we're trying to point out, hey, this is where you're lacking. But I definitely think these are questions we need to ask. And they may say yes. Yeah, we partner with GLSEN or we partner with PFLAG and here's what we do. But we are such a big system. It's impossible for every single individual to know what we do and what we don't do. That's why we ask these questions, either to our admin or our admin reaching out to someone at central office. But just keep scrolling. There are tons of questions here. Here's one about human resources and the hiring processes, making sure that we are not biased against LGBTQ plus teachers that are applying for positions. More on human resources, training and support. This one, I think, though, is a really big one. If we're going to focus on students in our spaces, student curriculum and learning outcomes, right? Do we have, this focuses on California, but what are the policies around LGBTQ plus issues being included in our curriculum, right? Do we have any, short stories or novels or units in health, right? Do we have anything that is inclusive of LGBTQ populations? Would be fantastic to know. But there are lots of questions here that are good to ask. These might be a little more comfortable for building level admin to answer or for curriculum coordinators, if maybe that's somebody that you want to interview. Anyway, but I'm not going to go through all these, but you can scroll through. There are lots here, assessment and evaluation, a lot of different things, and at the bottom, resources. But I do want you to spend some time thinking about the audit reflection, right? Where are we the strongest in your building or in the district, whichever one you want to do? Where are we needing the most improvement? What are the most urgent needs to address? And then resources to help address those needs. This is big, right? If we truly care about making our spaces LGBTQ inclusive, right, what are we doing for that continuous improvement step? All right, coming back. That's the wrong document here. Where was I at? Right, week 5. Okay. All right. Then once you have gone through, you've read chapter 4, you've gone through the LSR 7 slides, you've gone through the inclusion by design. Now it's time to head to the discussion board. On the discussion board, it's already live, but I want you to list your 10 takeaways. Could be from chapter 4. Could be from the LSR 7 slides, or it could be from inclusion by design. All of those are such good information to know. And I know it's hard, right? There's so much. I'm overwhelming you with lots of reading, really building that background knowledge. So now we can start to plan, what are we going to do in your space to make your space more LGBTQ inclusive. And so be thinking about that, but what are 10 takeaways or 10 things that you really want to remember from those particular resources? And remember, I can't emphasize this enough, as you are looking at the inclusion by design, please note next week, one of the assignments is going to be where you are interviewing an admin or somebody in an upper level position about 10 of those questions. So be thinking about which 10 questions most interest you, that you would really like to know the answers to, okay? All right, my friends, I hope you have a fantastic week. Again, I apologize that we didn't get a chance to meet last night, Sunday night, but we will have an optional class meeting this Sunday. Excited to talk about this information. And if you haven't joined a class yet, I encourage you to try. It's fun to be able to see faces and have conversations. So, all right, have a fantastic week. Best of luck with parent-teacher conferences, but enjoy that comp day. All right, my friends, take care. Thank you.